told my wife that. She's like, what? I've done 100 of those?
And you're still doing it?
I couldn't tell if she was impressed or did she feel sorry for us.
Yeah, that's right.
So welcome back, everyone, to the podcast, a very special podcast, guys. I am John. I am here with Tom, and I am here with Brad. Tom has, I just realized you traded your baseballs for fish.
Yeah. Well, one of these days I'll move from this spot to another spot, and then the baseballs will be behind us. But today,
just put the baseballs in the water, and have them all together, save space. And is that not a good idea?
Yeah, right.
And we just found out Brad has 10-foot bookcases there in his office.
You want me to stand up and go stand next to him?
Show the people. Give the people what they want, Brad. So
it's like go stand in front of that sequoia.
Yeah, right. It's that little room, that the further back you go, you get bigger.
Right,
except this is the opposite.
So what makes this episode so special is that it is the 100th episode of our Almost Perfect podcast. And I got to say, guys, Tom, Brad, you guys don't look a day over 97 episodes. I just got to say.
We hold up well, don't we?
We hold up well. Good job.
We've skipped a few.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's the only way we maintain.
That's right.
Congratulations, you two. It's been great. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I'm talking like it's over. It's not, but it's just, we've come as far. It's a neat little milestone. And so I don't know what that means in years. Is that 3 years, 2 years?
Oh gosh. It's about 2.5 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah. We started. Okay, I'm coming up on 2 years retired, and we started while I was still pastor at Asbury because I remember having the shelves behind me.
Okay, I can tell you for sure. I'm on my home computer. We started in 2020 in September.
There you go.
2.5 years ago.
So
almost 3 years.
Yeah, almost 3 years. So good job. And we've had different people on. We've lost a host along the way. We miss you, Wade.
Wade.
Come back, Wade.
Yeah,
Wade.
We're not gonna mention his name or anything, Wade.
Yeah. The Wade that shall not be mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's been fun.
And I have to admit, we are closer to being perfect. We're almost there. We're closer we are now than we were when we started.
We're closer to being almost perfect. That's
closer to being almost perfect. Yeah.
It's about as good as we can get around here.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And we're thankful.
And we're thankful, yeah. So I thought just a silly little way to celebrate is you guys know we have our intros, right? Gives people a kind of a taste of what happens sometimes like pre-show and sometimes, during the show, whatever. So I thought I'd go back and let you hear and probably see some of these intros. And you tell me what you think we were talking about. All right.
Dude, you think I studied for this? I didn't study.
Pop quiz.
I'm going to share a screen for you guys. And
okay.
Tell me if you can see. What do you see?
There's Wade. Yeah.
There's Wade. Yeah.
Oh, you see Wade there? Okay, let me come over here. Put this out of the way. All right. So I'm just going to show you.
I wonder why we have 180 followers and only 150 likes. 30 people didn't like us or what?
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
They're like, never mind. And I'm good.
Yeah. Next.
All right. So this comes from episode 14.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Called Peace and Potatoes. All right. Tell me if you can hear. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, blah.
It's still the same.
What do you think we were talking about?
Oh man, I remember that episode, but I'm trying to remember the picture was wow.
Something about potato.
Potato car. I remember that. We talked about the potato car.
And I, being as old as I am, that didn't stick.
Yeah.
That's not in the file cabinet. So what did we talk about?
I do not remember, but I do remember, and I see it in the pic. I see it in the picture there. Whatever you guys said just tripped me out. Like I was like, we need to pause for me to catch my breath. Whatever y'all said just got to me. So anyway, all right, let's try another one.
Okay, just a second.
Go ahead.
For those who are tuning in and you're curious, in the comment section, tell us what we were talking about. Because
if you remember.
Don't know.
Yeah, all right. Let's try another one. Ready? This is episode 12 called Bad Things Happen.
So the moral of the story is always choose colonoscopy over hanging out with Wade and John.
I'm sorry.
Do you remember that?
I wasn't there for that one.
Yeah, I remember Tina being with us, and of course she was talking about dealing with her illness and just how you process that. But beyond that,
you do remember that. That's good. I was just wondering, like, get a colonoscopy over hanging out with Tom and Wade.
Is that where Brad was?
Is that Brad?
I don't remember. I don't even know what date that was. What was that?
That was back in November 2020.
That could have been. Wow.
So okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Brad looks happy in this one. This is episode 17.
I got my chair plugged in.
Comedians, preachers, and podcasts. Let's see if we know what's going on here. So other preachers become better preachers by listening to us. That's right. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, they learn what not to do.
I'm just here to help.
So yeah, we are teaching the next generation. Apparently, do y'all remember that? What was?
I kind of remember it just because of the some of the comments that we were talking about. I think, and this is partially based on some other relationships, but doing stand-up comedy and how that helps you in presentation. Now that I could be talking out my popa, and for those who understand Russian, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The rest of you can guess.
The leading question is there a right and wrong way to read the Bible? So I don't remember, guys. I was really hoping y'all be better at this than me, which I guess kind of just explains this whole podcast.
This is why we're not quite perfect yet. Almost, but not quite.
I was only going to do like 3 or 4 of these, but then I got to look at like some of these is funny. It just reminded me of some funny stuff. All right, so this is episode 18 entitled "What Can the Iron Crotch Teach Us?"
All right then.
I see.
Right.
Was Tina with us again?
Yeah, Tina was with us several times. Yeah, it's been a while since she's been here.
Yeah, on that one though.
All right, let's hear. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Wasn't there?
Oh, you're kidding. I thought you were doing a great job.
Yeah.
You're such a natural.
That was almost perfect.
I don't know what I was trying to say either. And well, I guess we need to leave Brad out of this one, Tom, because we already know Brad doesn't go back and listen to past episodes that he wasn't a part of.
Not true. Just most of them.
The last one. Just the last one.
So,
for sure. I don't even remember what the iron crotch was.
I think it was so okay, there are only a few people left that can endure the iron crotch. I think there's like a village somewhere or a people group somewhere that this is an old, like an ancient, I don't know if it's a ritual or something where, you got to learn to endure the pain of the iron crotch, which you can use your imagination for, but that like nobody knows how to do it, or the people that know, I don't know, something like that. So that's about as I can remember at that.
Okay.
And only because, I work with junior high kids. So, I'm going to remember something about the iron crotch. All right. How about another one? Hey, we're all there. Let's see. This is east of Long Island. So if you had to guess how much.
Wow, you can't go much further east.
I was going, that's called the Atlantic Ocean.
It's a houseboat.
So, I'm bad with geography, but that was episode 25, Screaming Prayer. Do you guys not remember?
That's right. We did the questions. You had a bunch of questions for us to answer, and we were going to talk about all of them, and we got hung up on like the first 3 or so, first 4.
Yes, the guys had 12 questions answered. They only got.
Oh yeah.
We're professionals.
Did you get to screaming prayer?
I guess if we gave it the title, I guess so.
Well, part of that, at least it makes me think of, the conversation about real prayer and desperate prayer. And sometimes, I don't know if that's what it was about, but, that moment where you just scream out and it's, it's genuine, it's real, it's raw, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That sounds good. What I'm concluding is that if you guys don't remember, people listening probably don't remember, we could just do the same 100 episodes for the next
rerun, dude. Let's do a rerun. Just renumber it.
Let's say you and I both look very different, and the fact that Wade is present, it's like this seems like we've seen this before.
I feel like I've been here. All right, this is episode 28. What makes church good?
John, you were again muffled. I don't know what was going on.
Also, John, you look Hispanic.
No filter. I just thought that one was funny. Wade in the water. What makes a good church? I don't know. That was episode 28. I guess you could say a lot about that.
And actually, I think that was, a good topic, a good, I can imagine what we said because I kind of know how we've talked over the years, and just recognizing that good church is when you encounter Jesus,
right?
And if you have a good time, you sing and you feel good and all that's great. But if you don't encounter Jesus, it's something other than good church. Not bad. It's just not.
Having not gone back to hear it, I'll just say I agree with you, Tom. That's probably what we talked about. I have no idea. I have no idea. All right, this is episode 30. Is it wrong to pray for Alexis? And should I start praying for
Make sure you mute Wade, because I know he's going to get us in trouble with some of the things he's going to say.
Tom, you should really get an idea of what I don't say.
Yeah.
Any ideas? I mean, that sounds almost straightforward, I think.
Yeah. Kind of. Again, one of those conversations about it would naturally lead into that if you believe enough, you're gonna have good things, nice things come your way.
Name it, claim it.
Name it, claim it.
Yeah.
But the other side of that question is it wrong to pray for Alexis? And I wouldn't necessarily say it's wrong, because you can pray for Alexis and God can say yes, and you can say no. And more likely he's going to say no.
You can pray for Alexis and God gives you a Yugo. Yugos? Is that what they were? Remember the
Yugo?
A used Yugo.
A used Yugo, yes. All right, I got about 1,000 more of these. No, I don't. Let's see. Uh-oh. What's going on here? What's going on here? Hey, we can start a few minutes early. Maybe get done. Let's see. We've had
News on time.
Looks like I'm going over notes. I know that's not happening.
Forever.
I'm an old man. I like movies, okay?
Very good, Brad.
I'm still old.
That was episode 36, entitled What's Going On? Marvin Gaye's album, What's Going On, turns 50 this week. I don't remember why we brought that up. But sounds good to me. I love that album. So, all right, let's move along here. What is the will of God? Episode 37.
I could tell Wade was pretty excited about that conversation because I saw his tail wagging.
I remember that his dog had walked by.
Yeah,
Wade, a little more distinct. Wade's got a tail.
Yep.
That much I remember.
You remember Wade's dog. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What is it? This is Don't Let Faith Ruin You. Okay.
Well, this is you and me, isn't it?
I don't know. Let's see. Whoa.
Well, I know, man. I know.
Wait a minute. We're supposed to be talking about other people.
Holy ground. I know, man.
Out of my business.
That's right.
Brad was poking in my business. Episode 43. What it means to deconstruct your faith. Oh, I vaguely remember that conversation.
Yeah, that was that fellow that wrote a book on deconstructing Christianity. And
which ones?
yeah, right. And the big hullabaloo there was in the news about all of that. And the question was, okay, if you're going to deconstruct it, are you going to reconstruct it? You know, and how are you going to do that? And there was never any answer to that in the book. I remember that very distinctly. And that was a lot of the critique of that story, that it's been going on forever. But if you're going to do it, remember that it's only part of the process.
Yeah, I do remember deconstruction is nothing new at all, no matter how many new books get written and how it's on the news. But there is a faithful sort of end game to it that a lot of times gets thrown out. So I do vaguely remember that conversation.
Right.
So, all right, a few more. Let's see. This is I don't have episode number. What should you expect from your church? Donuts and coffee.
Yeah. Hey, you want to buy some cilantro?
You want to score some righteous Mexican herb?
I absolutely remember that story about the woman who brought cilantro and they thought it was something
marijuana.
They thought it was marijuana. So, something like Chicago.
I don't remember where
it was, and I'm pretty sure it's up north, kind of in that area where they're going. Never seen this before,
right?
That's not parsley.
It's just another breed of it. It's just another, variation.
And I do love the cilantro background. This is wonderful here. This is all right. Let's wind it down. Should we baptize ET? Episode 56.
Dude.
That is definitely outside of as he said, the world is my parish. The universe is my parish.
He didn't say the cosmos, he just said the world is my parish. Right.
Stay in your lane, Wesley.
That's
right.
I mean, what is that all about? Nobody remembers.
I think I know something prompted that whole idea about alien life and stuff, and how should we respond? And honestly, I remember one of the podcasters I listened to as while I was a pastor about leadership and stuff, and every year he would kind of take a survey of what people were interested in, and then and aliens was are there aliens was kind of at the top of the list. So and we may have
jumped on that.
And he's when he's saying planning future podcasts and talking about aliens. So
maybe so. All right, just three more. I'm going to probably go through these real quick. Let's see. This is How Much Does the Cross Cross Your Mind? Episode 66.
Not just one or two, and certainly not the pastor. He's a little stuck up, but the rest of it.
I mean, he has every right to be. I mean, have you seen the guy?
I was just, Tom thought he was putting me down, but he was like, he had no idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I knew that was related to the previous day's service.
Something like that. All right, let's see. Uh-oh, Dukes of Hazzard.
No, Blues Brothers, man. Blues Brothers at the very end, you know.
Or Thelma and Louise. Wow.
I was gonna say it's more Thelma and Louise.
I don't remember, other than having Todd with us, that was about college ministry and youth ministry.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was about. You know, and the fact that we as United Methodists have been pulling back on investment and all. So, but he's been very active. He's at San Marcos.
Yes,
still.
Sir. Yes, sir.
But now,
but I don't remember what the Thelma and Louise.
I'm trying to remember.
See, those are all
Thelma and Louise.
Those are all the stories we do beforehand that
right.
You just don't remember. All right, last one. This was not too long ago, episode 81, when Dory joined us. Dory McLemore.
No. Mm-hmm. She was that Christian comedian. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like three.
Hold on, here we go.
If you could tell us like 3 jokes on the spot you just made up out of nowhere, that'd be great.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Bradley and John, there you go. Right there. We've done it.
I remember that. Yeah.
Let's see. How do I get out of the screen here? All right. Stop sharing. All right.
There you go.
I'll say congratulations, guys. There's a lot to talk about in the realm of faith and what it means.
It's been a run, man. It's been a run.
Yeah.
So that was episode 86.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems like a forever ago, and yet we're talking about this is 14 episodes later. So,
well, we do a bad job. Like we just came off a 2-week hiatus. I think we've done that a couple of times. Things happen, schedules, whatnot. So, more professional podcasts. They do a bad job of doubling up or whatever. But we
also did a bunch of doubling up. And recording early.
Right.
Yeah, we did it a couple
times there. So
we'll get better. We promise.
Yeah.
The reason we didn't do one is you offered that I should do it by myself last week because both of you were en route to San Antonio for a clergy convocation.
Yeah, we were throwing axes.
Yeah, and 2 weeks ago I was moving. We were.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. Yeah, this is the new setting, and it would have been our 100th. The next one we did, and we felt like, well, on the 100th we should all be here.
Yeah. Pretty good. So, all right. So, congratulations, and we'll see what changes, what happens in the next 100 episodes. Do you have any colleagues that listen? Do you think secretly they're like, "Wow, Brad, that's pretty good stuff, man"?
Man, I wished I was on there. I don't know.
So speaking of 100, yesterday at our church, we helped. We were able to be a part of a celebration. We had one of our saints turn 100 last week, and so
wow, that is awesome.
And so we sang happy birthday to her during worship, and we prayed over her, and then there was a big luncheon afterwards, and it was great. It was just a great time, great thing to celebrate together. And so as Tom was leaving, he tapped me on the shoulder, and he said,
"Oh, I think that we should talk about."
We rehearsed this, Tom.
Yeah. Well, I thought we should talk about what it is to be a pastor and have those 90 and 100-year-old saints that are among us, and because they're unique, they really are a unique group of people, and I would say, man, if you're in your 90s, or you have someone in their 90s who's been a faithful follower of Jesus and still remains committed to and part of a church life, you've got a sweet person. At least that's been my experience. So I thought we would talk about that, or suggested we talk about that.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, we voted. I mean, we said you're the closest to 100 here, so we'll just go with that.
What's it like, Tom, to be,
What's it like, Tom? You sweet man.
but so my guess is all of us have specific stories of people that have been in our lives, and I want to start with now I'm going. Let's come back to Reverend. I trying to remember his name, but goodness, I'm going to change stories quickly and just shuffle back to. He was in his 90s, and I'll remember his name after you tell one of the stories. But I also remember talking to a lady who was 100 years old, and she had just recently had celebrated her 100th birthday, and we were visiting and talking to someone who's in their 100 years old who has no filter, but who's a delightful person, but has no filter any longer. It's like you get some pretty straight dope about the community, about life, and in her 100 years of life, and she had always been in this community of 5,000 when she was born, and it had grown to 5,003. There hadn't been much change, and just her reflections on life were very insightful. So that's my first story. And when I remember the pastor's name that was a part of our church life, I'll come back and tell his story.
Throw it out anytime.
Yeah.
I've had experience with many 90-plus-year-olds, probably besides Hermana yesterday, probably 3 or 4 100-year-olds over the years. So that's been a blessing. Brad, you said you have how many right now?
Well, I have one in this church currently who is 101. And in a previous congregation, I had a lady that was 103, and she was still cutting a rug. We had a big band from the high school show up, and they had a dance in our it was the young adult Sunday school class from the 1950s. Okay. And they were still meeting, and they had this sweetheart dinner thing. And she got up and cut a rug with one of our youth, and the youth couldn't keep up with her. I mean, that's just wild. You got this 17-year-old kid who can't keep up with a 103-year-old. And she was seriously just cutting, Benny Goodman and Glenn Miller and the whole bit. She was really doing well. But I've had several in the churches over the years that have reached that milestone of 100 years. And I say several, probably a half a dozen total, but you don't forget them. They have such wonderful stories. They have wonderful, and what their eyes have seen, what their ears have heard over that century is just, it boggles the mind. A kid like me, I'm big into history, and I love to ask questions. Well, what did you think about when? And just listen to them. Just sit at their feet and listen to the stories that they had.
Yeah, and I remember one of the first, not 100-year-olds, but she was 94 at Carrizo Springs, and visiting her, it was always a delight. But I remember her describing how she and her family moved to Carrizo Springs, and it was by wagon. So wow. She was coming in, and she had seen from train travel by locomotive and wagon to the first automobiles, to the first airplanes, to the first rockets. Just so much had changed in her 94 years of life. Mm-hmm.
So quite often when I have a chance, because obviously, you do ministry with people who are in their 90s plus and, 100. And myself, I do a lot of ministry with younger people as well. And so I kind of try to bring those together, and I'll ask, the old generation, like, so what do these young people need to know, like, to help them and kind of walk through the time they're in? And so many of them are they've been at a point in their life where, they've seen so many things come and go, and so many things that they thought were, going to last that didn't. And so they've seen kind of the, the mist of life, right?
Yeah.
And so they're just willing to tell you like this faith stuff that, like we spent 100 episodes talking about, like that's what's important, right? And learning how to live into that. And all that other stuff comes and goes, the jobs come and go, and things like that. And so, but prioritizing the faith, a lot of times those 90-plus-year-olds, some of the most faithful in the church, right? They're the ones that are going to be praying the most for the rest of the church. And I think we have a lot to learn from them when it comes to that kind of witness as well. So
we had a member of our church just this last year who was 102 pass away, and I'm looking for his full name. Here we go. Whoa, hang on. Yeah, his name was, he went by Pickett, but Wesley Pickett Duro, and he was a state trooper and was 102. And I got a chance to interview him just before he died. And I talked about when he joined the church, what was there, who was the pastor at the time, what drew them to our church here. It was a delightful conversation, and then shortly thereafter, he fell ill and died. But a centenarian like that is just that's their treasures.
Yeah. We had a guy at one of our churches. He was 98 and wasn't really driving. Didn't need to be driving at all. And one Sunday morning, like right before we get started, a few minutes before, we all look because here he comes walking in. And we're like, well, who brought you? Because usually somebody brings you. He's like,
Not DeSoto.
Yeah, nobody was available, so he just got in his car and drove down all these, county roads, country roads, everything. And we're like, oh my gosh, why'd you do that? I needed to be here. This is where I'm supposed to be with my church.
Gotta be in God's house. That's right.
Yeah. So that's one of those examples that sticks with me. It's like I also use the example of my father-in-law a lot. When he passed away, he was 97. And I just tell the story of, he was a retired minister, and telling the story of, passing his room, and there he is, like in his chair reading the Bible. I'm like, Dad, don't you already got that stuff figured out? Right? You can stop reading now.
Yeah.
Right. But this is what's
studying for the finals. Yeah.
But no, this is what sustains us. This is where I found like my faith and everything else. So obviously this is something you keep going. So you're right. There's a lot to learn about life. There's a lot to learn about faith from people if we learn to be together.
The very first lady I had that was in her upper 90s, she was about 98, 99 years old. She used to walk to church every Sunday. And this was while I was a student appointment up in Nebraska. And it snowed, and it didn't matter. The church is on the side of a hill. She walked to church every Sunday. She had 2 canes, and she just made her way. She'd start out an hour early, get there, sit on the back pew, and sleep during the whole worship service and snore. And I didn't care. She was in church, every Sunday she was in church. She was such a sweetheart. And she'd get up and she'd say, next Sunday, I'm going to try to stay awake. I said, you just do whatever you got to do. I'm just glad to see you. And just, but oh man. Well,
in the famous words of Miley Cyrus,
yes,
it's the climb. So
that's exactly right. Yep.
Go ahead.
So 2 quick things, or one quick thing. You're talking about 97. My grandmother passed away when she was 97, 98. We always thought she'd make it to 100. She had such energy up until the end, and toward the end, she had suffering from dementia. But even when you came in, it was so funny. Her mantra was, "You gotta act enthusiastic, and you'll be enthusiastic." And I had the privilege of doing her, her funeral service, and with my cousins and brothers and sisters and family all there. It's like, I said, act enthusiastic, and then I waited, and you'll be enthusiastic. And she really modeled that in her faith, and even with dementia, when you walked into her room, you just felt this sense of joy that even dementia couldn't squelch. Now, Reverend Bryce is the person I remember from my days at Peace United Methodist Church in Richland Center, Wisconsin, and he was a retired pastor, and I guess he was in his 90s when I arrived there. If not, he was in his late 80s. And in the church, we started a Saturday night service that was different than the Sunday morning service, and it became controversial. It's like, you're splitting the church. But we were actually gathering musicians who weren't a part of Sunday morning, and they just enjoyed coming and playing a different style of music. And we were kind of gaining momentum on Saturday night. People were coming in on, but the church, some of those in the church are saying, well, we shouldn't be doing that, and you're splitting the church. I remember that was, you're splitting the church. You're splitting the church, and Reverend Bryce came, and he sat in the back and just kind of took it all in. And when it was all over, I remember walking up to him and basically waiting to see what his opinion was. And he said, well, it's not my cup of tea, but if it's bringing people to Jesus, I'm all for it. And I'm going, yes. And what I loved about that is he saw the main point, and he actually came and checked it out before forming any kind of opinion,
right?
As opposed to a lot of people who get upset about something and form an opinion, a strong opinion that has no basis in fact, no basis in experience. Just I think this, and therefore it is.
Right. Yeah. Here's what I would like to see happen. I think we can be very good at, when somebody reaches a milestone like 100, we celebrate. It just feels natural, and we congratulate. But, church needs to do a better job, I think, of sort of, how do I say this? Not taking advantage of, but, we've talked before. I know I have, because it's important to me, this intergenerational stuff, right, that we've lost by and large. Like, don't just celebrate big milestones. I mean, do that, of course. But in between, again, these people have an entire life that they have lived, a faith that they have lived out. And so just to act like, oh, they're just, the cute old ladies, the cute old men of the church, and, let them go. We are losing something valuable that God has gifted us with. And so I think, part of our job as leaders is to help the church learn to be in community together in a way that, there's an opportunity for that older person to share wisdom and to share faith, and for that younger person to even share as well, and to have that together, and them not just be some, thing that we get to celebrate as a milestone for. They get to be an actual soul, a child of God that pours in, that continues to pour into our life, into the life of our church. But that takes intentionality. That takes a willingness for us to actually make that happen.
There, and I think we talked about this in one of our episodes a long time ago about intergenerational ministry and what it's like to have the different generations meet together and just listen to one another, find out what's going on. That's hard to do for any generation, to listen to another generation, because my wisdom is the greatest wisdom of all, we all think. But to truly know, I mean, just exactly what you said there, this is a treasure of the church. Their faith is what, planted the tree, or the seed that became the tree under which we enjoy the shade. And, that's something we can't take for granted. We need to remember that and honor that, and then realize that that was not just a gift that they did, but a teachable moment of what we're supposed to be doing, what we're called to do too, for those folks who are going to follow us. I know you guys at Kelsey, y'all just had your 150th. We just had our 75th, and one of the emphases that
you babies.
I know, we're just newborn. We're almost out of diapers. But
and I'm almost there to 75. So
yeah, I know. And well, anyway,
I thought Tom was gonna say, and I'm almost in diapers.
Yeah, in between, right? Between 75.
Yeah, the church was 7 years old when I was born.
There you go. See, so this is the idea of 75 years. We wanted to make sure that we didn't just hold on to the past. The past is incredibly important because without the past, we wouldn't be here. But to remember where we are now, and then to think about where we're going to be in the next 75 years, and I won't be here. Most of my church won't be here, but we've got children that will be. And for them to grow up in a church, what do we need to do to lay that foundation to make sure that they have a place to know Jesus, to come to meet Jesus, and their children and their children's children, and on and on and on. It is phenomenal to think that there were people 100 years ago who felt it was important enough to raise that centenarian to be a Christian 100 years from then. This is it, and we can go back 2,000 years, and this is how the faith is passed down. To hear those words, to interview those people, and to just have a conversation that says, tell me what your earliest, most fondest memory of the church is.
Yeah.
Where did you learn about Jesus, and how did you learn? And some of those, some of them are funny as all get out, and some of them are just sad. Some of them are just joyful. It doesn't matter, but they all learned, and they all came to know that this is important. This is incredibly significant in their development as a human being, but more specifically as a Christian. I think it's phenomenal to think about these folks.
Yeah, right on. So again, that's something intentional that has to happen, and it's got to be modeled, and it's got to be thought through. So there's your challenge, right? Like, make that happen. It's not always easy. Sometimes it can be awkward, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But I mean, that's part of the treasure of it all. So, all right, Tom, I'll give you the last word to say about anything you want, so we can finish up today.
Okay. Well, my hope and prayer is that at whatever age we live to, that Jesus Christ is first and foremost the thing that happens in each of our lives.
Amen to that, brother. All right. Again, Tom, Brad, congratulations. You can put this on your resume if you want. Your 100th podcast episode.
We look good for our age.
We look good. Yeah. Some of us look better.
Well,
So let's review this in a month and see if we still remember.
Yeah. We might have to start doing.
I don't remember what that was about.
Or we could start just doing, podcasts that are actually worth remembering.
Nah.
But
don't need to go that far.
The thing is, and honestly, even though we've already had the last word supposedly, the thing is, I may not remember it just with that little blurb or that title, but almost always when I go back and listen to something we've done in the past, I'm going, oh, I forgot that. That was good. So, and I'm not trying to blow wind up your skirt or anything like that, but
I'm on
whatever the saying is.
I'm not wearing anything below the microphone. So
poke my mind's eye out.
On that note, let us finish and wrap it up. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate all the conversation these last 100 episodes, and look forward to the next ones that are coming up and all that we'll get to talk about later. Thank you for listening, for watching.
One last thing, though.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember what our first rule of podcast was?
I remember.
And did we do it today?
I think I know I have.
Yeah.
We're supposed to laugh at least once, every time.
That's right.
We can't laugh at ourselves. I mean, if we can't laugh at, if we can't laugh at Tom, then what's the point of this?
Yeah, there's one. I was going to say, if there's nothing else, we do remember that.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you for laughing with us, for listening, and we'll be back at it again soon for episode 101 and continued after that. Have a great rest of the week, and God be with you.
Amen.